Hi, everybody. Erica and Lena here from Worldview 360. Welcome, everybody. And
Hi,
welcome,
hi, hi, guys.
welcome to all of you who've joined us. And I always want to not forget the people who watch in replay. Thank you so much for watching in replay. So last week was a wild and woolly show. I've gotten lots of comments from people during the course of the week, and really appreciate the support and the engagement. And again, as you said, Lena, last time, I thought it was a brilliant sort of metaphor. Think of it as a Venn diagram. There is the whole world of divination on YouTube out there. And we are a subset of that because we do political divination, but we also have a particular slant, which puts us in another little section of the Venn diagram. And so if it's for you, that's great. And if it's not, that's fine, because check out the rest of the diagram. There's probably somebody out there for you who will speak to what you are looking for. So how are you, Lena? Cold, I gather.
Well, yes, we're in the teeth of winter, but I am so enjoying the World Cup. And so what's happening here is there are endless World Cup parties as well, right? So you can go to different, not just big public events. I mean, people just having them with a few people. So when the South American teams are playing, I go to my Chilean cafe and watch it there, and that goes off, and it's just such a buzz. It is
That's
such
great.
a buzz.
That's great. Well, we can start off by just saying a word about the World Cup. The word that I want to say about the World Cup has to do with the restaurant industry and New York City, where I spent about maybe a third of my life. And know very well. But one of the things that's happening is that restaurants in the city are having to add 20% to their bills because the people who are coming for the World Cup are not tipping. So it is a custom here to tip 20% on top of whatever the bill is. But because people are not tipping, these restaurants are having to do this. And my hope is that it will make Americans say, wait a minute, are the Europeans not tipping because they're cheap? No, that's not why they're not tipping.
No.
It's because servers overseas get a living wage for their work. Here, you get paid something like $2 and something cents an hour. And so if people don't tip, they can't survive. That's obscene. And then who makes all the money? The restaurants. So I'm hoping that this will cause people to take a good long look at the tipping culture here.
Yes, because it's an excuse for such exploitative wages. It's absolutely appalling. Here in Australia, I'd say we have a mixed culture. By and large, no tipping, but depending on the type of place you're at, and I'm a tipper by nature. So if someone's looked after me well, I will tip them. They don't expect it.
Right.
But the point is, you shouldn't worry that someone's going to bed hungry because of the pricing structure of the stupid restaurant industry.
Exactly. I mean, we are so minimum wages in Iowa, they're saying, is still $7.25. Yeah. Oh, wait. And then that $2.13 an hour, $2.13, because they'll say, well, you're getting tips. So $2, but they will charge you tax on the $2.13.
Look, it's always been crazy. I couldn't believe it 30 years ago there. It's just that every country assumes what it does is normal on some level. And because the US has such a gigantic identity, so many huge and obvious things never get questioned.
That's exactly right. It's not even that they're normal. It's that they're better than wherever everybody else does.
Oh, well, it has to be better or we wouldn't be doing it in America.
Exactly, because we're in America.
Let's build into the conversation and you scratch the surface and go,
exactly.
I'm not so sure yet.
A lot of surface is being scratched, and I think that's terrific. So let's come. We'll stay in the U.S. for a minute. Something that we didn't talk about, Lena, when we were doing our pre-show conference, is the fact that we've got Tucker Carlson and now Marjorie Taylor Greene both leaving the Republican Party, which is very interesting.
Which is a cue for?
It's a cue for independent. Going together, coming together as independents. And this, of course, is incredibly threatening to the Republican Party. It will split the vote, is what it will do. So I say, bring it on. I don't like Tucker Carlson. I don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene either. But what do they say? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So nice to meet you too. And
yeah, it's like that. What concerns me is they've still got a good, clean 2-year run to the big election.
Yeah.
And people are disenchanted with Republicans. And so the Dems have to be, I think, hyper alert to have their counter narrative ready and operational from the beginning, because otherwise people will be sitting here in 3 years' time going, how did Tucker Carlson become president?
Well, so this brings us to, we do want to talk a little bit about politics tonight. And so this brings up something interesting that is already happening in some of the, the down ballot primaries that we've been having, which is, I'll just go by the New York one. So Jerry Nadler is retiring. And so people were running for his seat. One of them was George Conway, who came in something like 5th. Another one running for that seat was Jack Schlossberg, the Kennedy grandson. He came in, he did not do well at all, but he needs to grow up a little bit. So, I'll hold out some hope for him. And someone who we thought would do well, Dan Goldman. Now, Dan Goldman, everybody knows his name because he was part of the impeachment team. I mean, he's somebody that you saw on TV all the time. He's considered a good guy and, our side of the fence, but he is a Zionist. And he got beaten out by someone else who is also Jewish. So it's not a thing, that's not the issue, but who is not a Zionist, who is against the genocide that's going on. So I think it's really interesting and terrific that a city like New York can be discerning when they have two candidates, and that's the tipping point. So I think that's great. I think that 3 candidates that were supported by Zoran Mamdani won, which means that we've got democratic socialism on the menu. Speaking of restaurants,
they're actually saying it. They're actually describing themselves as democratic socialists.
Yes, and this is making mainline Democrats, as you can imagine, twitch.
Good.
Twitch. So as you say, though, it comes around to your point, which is, the Democrats can't just say, look how bad that side is, because people are going to turn around and say, well, what are you doing? And there is infighting. In the Democratic Party, because you've got this progressive wing that is very, very attractive to young people, people of color, and no matter how much money gets poured into a campaign, a vote is going to be a vote. And I think that New York will be the bellwether for what I hope will sweep at least the Northeast anyway. And
yes, I mean, we're not expecting it to roll out across Kansas.
No,
but at the same time, I think the Democratic Party as a party needs to be more upfront about a spectrum and be more inclusive of each other, instead of being forced to toe the line in the middle. Go, well, AOC is way left of me, but I appreciate what she's doing for her voters. Or this one, I'd prefer him to be a bit more progressive, but look, he's doing his best.
Lena, AOC won 86% of the vote in her district. 86%. I mean,
Love it. Love it.
it's just,
And individually, they're charming, articulate, but it's the energy they bring to the table. They are not washed up.
right,
They're not treading water till their retirement.
right,
They are actually engaged in the process.
exactly. So that was, it's just, it's very, very exciting to see. Okay. So in more political news, there was a housing bill that had bipartisan support. We know there is so little, right, these days that can get bipartisan support.
So
But
rare.
this was a bill that would help people afford to buy homes, because what's happening is that companies and corporations and things are buying up properties, putting the people that they hire in it. So now not only is your health insurance tied to where you live, but your home can be tied to where you live. And people can't afford to buy single family homes. So there was a bill that was going to sort of bring all that back under control, which was great. Bipartisan support. The Republicans were busy touting it. They were doing a press conference talking about how great this was, that we could come to some agreement about something finally. And even as they were giving their press conference, what was happening? The felon said, "Hold the phone. I am not signing that bill." They had the I think it was I forget where, the rotunda, I don't know, but they had a place that's normally a public space all cleared out because it was going to be the big fancy signing. Everybody was going to be there and put their 2 cents in. And it was, it was supposed to be a really collegial moment. Well, they had to take all the trappings down, and the public now is traipsing back and forth like they normally do because it's called off. Now, why did he do this? Because he wants the SAVE Act passed. And if you don't know what the SAVE Act is, it's essentially, it sounds good, save, because who doesn't want to save?
Awesome name.
Right? But it's about disenfranchising voters. That's really what it's about. Bipartisan opinion is that this is a non-starter. So, right? So it's bipartisan. So he has said, I will not sign that until the SAVE Act is passed. So that's out the window. But he also said, this is, what did he say? A national emergency, right before he said, thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, national emergency is not a throwaway line. Yeah, Statue Wall, that's where it was. Thank you. Statue Wall is where they were going to do it. National emergency is not a throwaway line. I think we all need to pay attention to this, because he wants to rig the elections, is what he wants to do. And all he has to do is say national emergency, call out somebody's National Guard, and either have polling places be incredibly intimidating places to go to, or come up with some pretext for why we can't vote at all. So just
and I think this has been on the agenda since the second term started. I'm just hoping that the war is the boy who cried wolf, right? In the sense he's gone too far. It's so unpopular, the war. If he hadn't done the war, I'd be more worried about the threat, and was already super worried about the threat of national emergency being a fig leaf for bad behaviour. But it's like, I'm not entirely convinced he could even pull it off a few months from now.
No, apparently there was a lunch of Republicans, and Trump was there, and apparently there was a shouting match between him and Republican Bill Cassidy. And what was the shouting match about? The war. Because no one likes the whatever the settlement is that he's put together. We don't come out with anything for it. Iran comes out smelling like a rose in terms of the benefits that they get from it. So everybody's angry. I really feel like, the legs are coming off of this chair.
Yes. But again, this is the time when the Dems should have no mercy.
That's right.
In the sense, and be saying he is going to do everything to try and sabotage this election, including declaring a national emergency. So keep a lookout for that, everyone. So by saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it, he tries and does it. And then it sounds really weak and suspicious,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a middle of the road person who hasn't worked it out.
Right.
So they need to go on the attack now, not let him off the hook.
No.
For the tariffs, the war, or messing with voting.
Well, I'll tell you what, if there's a book fund that the Democrats have, they need to give every member of Congress a copy of the new book by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan called Regime Change. So I got it first on Audible because I thought, oh, I'll knit while I listen to it.
Yeah.
But then they talk too slow, so I got the actual book. And I'm about a quarter of the way through. And I just think it's a good refresher and reminder and maybe revelation to everyone about how bad this administration really is. From when the gun went off, this second term has been awful, and not just for its ugly intentions, but also for its sloppy ineptitude. It's very scary. We dodged tons of bullets just by the grace of God. And
well, yes, you've got 350 or 60 million people allegedly being governed, but these are total inadequates.
Yeah. It's
to
really
actually manage a system, even badly.
I know.
And that's because none of them know what a government should and does do.
Right. In the first
always think of it as a business.
Right. It's sobering. I don't want to read it too late at night because I'll have nightmares. But I think it should definitely be required reading for every member of Congress. And I think every citizen, if you want to, if you're feeling, I don't know, less than fired up and ready to go, this book will fire you up and get you ready to go. So again, it's Regime Change by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. I like Jonathan Swan. I think he's sober-minded and serious and careful with his words. I think this book is very, very well researched, and to the point where the administration has said, who did they have in the room? Because some of these conversations are verbatim. So there are moles. So
absolutely.
But
and Jonathan Swan is Australian, by the way.
Yes, he is Australian.
So
yes.
He comes from that tradition of journalism, which is
right.
Facts. You remember facts.
Facts. He's very. I've seen him on several interviews since the book was released. But the book is, it's eminently readable. It's not boring. It's startling. It's sobering. It's infuriating. And I feel like if you're looking for something to do in the lead up to the 4th of July, a patriotic act would be to read get it from, I'm not saying you listen, I don't get a kickback, get it from your library, whatever you have to do. But I think it's definitely worth the read. Speaking of someone who is prominently talked about in that book, Todd Blanche, the one who got Ghislaine the cushy quarters. Well, speaking of that, he has just given himself a new power. And the new power is he sort of can now circumvent and sort of supersede decisions made by the Bureau of Prisons. Because normally it's the Bureau of Prisons. They do like an assessment of a prisoner, and then they decide where to put them in the prison system. And so many things can go into it, mental health, the level of whatever the infraction was, age. There's all kinds of criteria that go into it. Well, Todd Blanche said, "Oh, you're doing the most. I'm going to take that over." So he now has full authority over decisions of where to put any prisoner in the system. So obviously, they're using your thinking cap. You will say, oh, so people like Ghislaine can get the country club prison. But what does that also mean? It means people that take a paint chip from the reflecting pool, who will be charged with a felony for vandalism, could be put in a supermax if he wants to.
Yes,
He doesn't have to explain his reason. That's not good.
And he is, excuse me, he's the acting AG. So talk about abuse of authority. He's not actually in the job. But I just heard this morning in another context, 101 judges have signed off. It must be some sort of amicus brief, calling for pulling Todd Blanche's law license.
Now, let me ask this question. I don't know if you know. Are these retired justices or are they active justices?
I haven't got the fine print.
Because you know what? That makes a difference. Do you know what I mean?
Of course it does. Of course it does. Can someone let us know in the comments? Are they all retired justices or is it a mixed bag?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for putting in the title of the book. Thank you. Jonathan Swan is his last name. Swan, S-W-A-N. Yeah, see, somebody said it's retired judges. I mean, listen, I'm delighted that these retired judges are stepping up and speaking out. But, you know, come on. I get maybe they're not allowed.
It should be part of a wall of resistance. It's a tile in the wall.
Yeah, but I mean, are active judges?
There should be other outrage about this.
Yeah.
Because apart from anything else, he's obviously not making an ambit claim of being involved in every person's sentencing. It's purely political. It is purely punishment.
Right. Or
in the most medieval sense.
Right.
For political opponents.
Right.
It's blatant.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, things don't look that great for him. There is now this big Republican side eye of the felon, which I think is great. And I don't know, Republicans are starting to make noise about the fact that they're not necessarily automatically inclined to confirm him, Blanche, because he refuses to put in writing, as he was required to do by a judge, the fact that this slush fund, this billions and billions of dollars slush fund, will not be pursued. He has said it out of his mouth, it's a dead issue. We won't be doing that. And then when he was asked to put it in writing, he's refused to do that.
So exactly.
I think he may not. I think he may not get past. And I will say, if he doesn't get confirmed, Trump might as well just hang it up right now. If he does not get confirmed.
Well, yes, and he's also got two other legal cases looming. One is, remember when Kristi Noem was, first on the scene doing all these horrendous acts, these illegal, unconstitutional acts, and a court said, no, I think you can't, it was about Abrego Garcia, you can't send him out of the country or something. Anyway, Todd Blanche himself said to Puppy Killer, don't listen to the courts.
Right.
Now, courts don't like
that. They don't like that.
So that's one legal thing going on for him. The other is, and I like this one better because it's old school wire fraud. He was signed a client's name on documents, pretending it was him. This is the sort of little stuff that could actually bring some of these people down.
Exactly.
It's not their big pronouncements. It's this, small stuff.
Well, I mean, I just death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah,
said, if he can't meet his maker yet, I am, any man's death diminishes me. I'm not trying to. If he can't meet his maker yet, then I feel like second prize is is watching his narcissistic injury take hold as everything crumbles around him. As the book makes the case, and I've read this in other books as well, but regime change also makes the case that the felon will try anything. Even he at first couldn't believe his luck, but he has since, because he's been so lucky, he just said, you know what? I'm just going to push the envelope and push the envelope and push the envelope. There may come a day when it all falls apart, but it hasn't happened yet. And maybe that means it'll never happen. And I'm just going to ride it till the wheels fall off. Well, the wheels are starting to fall off, or at the least the bolts are loose.
Yeah, totally. And he was recently in Versailles when that debacle of the G7 went on. And so if his gold obsession and all of that suddenly looks like a parrot cage compared with Versailles. So I think on every level, and he's obsessed with the swamp that he's created, and he's now wants to jail people for the reflecting pool not working. Where was I going with that? Oh, the point being the wheels coming off, like you say.
Yeah.
Because now everyone wanted to be friends with the President of the United States, the most powerful position in the world, blah, blah. So the Gulf states and the bribes and the cajoling and the favors and the money laundering and countries were lining up. But he has single-handedly destroyed that power. He's destroyed the mystique.
That's right. That's right. He absolutely has. And I have to say, Schadenfreude is a thing, and I am enjoying that.
I'm so here for the Schadenfreude.
Yeah, there's something I would enjoy more, but I will take the Schadenfreude. So another thing that we wanted to talk about. There was something that we hadn't written down, but this is a good one. So the judge who told the felon that he had to take his name off the Kennedy Center in Performing Arts. I stayed up late trying to watch them take it down. And it happened in the wee hours of the morning. And now he's got what I call a shower curtain up. And it's been up, for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
People have brilliantly trolled him by saying, oh, well, this is like the olden days when you'd put up a sheet. Like when I was a kid, my parents got us this little projector so that we could watch cartoons on the wall, or on a sheet. Okay, so people are hearkening back to those days, and they are broadcasting pictures of the felon and his dead friend Epstein, and it's fantastic. But the judge said, and I'm sure the judge is like, well, good, but meanwhile, this is not an open air theater, so why is that shower curtain still up? And he has demanded that they give answers for why it's still up. And of course, those answers will not be forthcoming, at which point somebody will be held in contempt. And that shower curtain will come down, and we'll be able to see the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts the way it was supposed to be. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's really good.
And that's a symbolic win too.
Yeah.
It was a symbolic outrage that he put it there, and it's a symbolic win for the people to take it down.
Exactly. So that's great. Stephen Miller. Talk about swamp creatures. His new thing is, so for those who don't know, back in the 70s, was it the 70s, Lena? I feel like it was the 70s or the 80s. There was a move to close institutions that housed people with mental and physical disabilities. And the theory was that they would receive services in the community or at home, and that it would be like a sort of a more regionalized approach instead of like a big state hospital kind of situation. Because if you ever saw like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you ever see that movie? Ooh, that movie was, from the book was from the 60s, but
I
back
think
in
the movie was the 80s.
well, okay, movies of the 80s, but the setting of how that was done was like a couple of decades earlier. But
Yeah.
where people were, I mean, basically, this was pre-psychiatric drugs. That's what it was. It was because we didn't have psychiatric drugs. So this is when they would do lobotomies on people or keep them restrained. It was just a pretty brutal, barbaric.
It was barbaric everywhere.
Yeah.
Australia was no better. You'd
Yeah.
go past any of these hospitals and they were haunting places.
Right, exactly.
Horrifying.
I think there are even tours that you can, not that I would do it, but you can take tours of these hospitals. Like, what's that one in Bedlam?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Bedlam.
Broadmoor is another one in the UK.
Broadmoor's another one, yep. But anyway, so they decide to close those because now they had psychotropic drugs and people could be managed out. Well, it's pretty much not been what I would call a success, just saying. There are a lot of, you could see homeless people. There are a lot of people who don't have services in the way that ideally it was envisioned that they would. But anyway, not out of the kindness of his heart, but for his own nefarious reasons, Stephen Miller has decided that he wants to push institutionalizing disabled Americans. And we know that this is not an enlightened approach. We know that it is a means towards an end, which I think is a eugenic end.
Yes, totally. Totally. So, and there's never been a gigantic institution like the ones we were talking about that has been kind to people or who has had a success story. I mean, they're brutal by definition and structure, and it's going backwards.
It's going backwards. A viewer said Reagan, and it's true. I remember.
Yeah, it was under Reagan that it accelerated.
There were people in the streets. Yeah.
And so, although we haven't got the answers now, I've maintained for decades, every few suburbs, like super local, can look after its own homeless, destitute, struggling thing in small sort of enclaves can be done. If you don't do that, then people gravitate to larger city areas, then the problem's massive.
That's right.
And virtually insoluble, and yet not. So, but the point, going back to why he is saying it, it's the eugenics. We don't want to look at people who aren't pretty and perfect.
Right.
It's hideous.
And if they die, they die. Oh, if COVID ravages the place or flu or whatever, because Robert Kennedy wants to get rid of all the vaccines. Well, oops. Oh, well.
And I just saw this morning the armed services are reintroducing vaccines because there's been 250 cases in 1 minute.
Yes.
Because if you're in the armed services, you tend to be very compressed. You're eating together. It's communal showering, communal sleeping, communal everything. Any disease gets in. So at the moment, as we speak, there's hundreds of active service members who are sick because they didn't have the vaccine.
It's stupidity. Oh, okay. Let me get to this. Has nothing to do with it whatsoever. But CM30337. I hope the claim against Wes Moore is debunked. Apparently, it was debunked. So you're talking about the Peter Thiel retreat that he has every year, maybe a couple of times a year, called Dialogue. And the people who have been invited to it, I think we talked about this last time, the list was kind of shocking. Cory Booker was on there. That didn't really surprise me that much. But Wes Moore was also on there. And he's just been reelected the governor of Maryland. Black guy, really terrific. I love what he says about the Democratic Party. He says, Democrats are, which he is a Democrat, he says, it's the party of no and slow. He says that it's, but apparently, so he, as soon as he saw his name was on that list, he went public and he said, I did years ago get invited to speak, and I did speak. And he said, and I looked around and I said, I never will come back here again. He said, I've never met Peter Thiel. I want nothing to do with anything to do with this dialogue group. So yes, it has been debunked. I noticed that Corey has had nothing to say about his involvement any more than there was another guy who I thought, oh no, I just saw him on TV. I can't remember his name, but this is Democrats, Republicans, all of these people. So to the degree that there is a deep state, well, there you go.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
And like so many things, they've been right about something. They've just got the cast wrong. Of these things. Grace Gilbert here in the comments makes a good point. They've cut funding for nursing homes. So who will fund this horror of Stephen Miller's? And this is where they privatise. This is why it happened under Thatcher and Reagan. They'll outsource it, meaning some family or board will make a killing getting government contracts to not be a government agency.
You know what I just realized? So it sounds unrelated, but it's not unrelated. Communities around the country have come out in force against these data centers and private prisons and things like that, to the point where there have been some rollbacks, and a lot of them will not be populated. But I'm sure this is something I would think that Stephen Miller would say, well, we've got these facilities. You all don't want prisons and you all don't want data centers, but I'm sure you don't mind if we put the disabled there because you're such caring, giving, generous Americans. Watch that. And you're right. It'll be privatized. Somebody will make a killing.
Which means there's no access to what's going on.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, it's shocking.
Scary. All right, let me look at the Senate is a nursing home. Yes, that's true. Oh, somebody said they think Booker explained himself. All right, well, I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't know. He's certainly taken AIPAC money, but anyway. That's it. Yeah, this audience is so smart. Jim Hines. Yeah, Himes. I think he's Connecticut, but Jim Himes. I mean, he's a good Democrat, we thought, but his name was on there too as one of the invitees to this, yearly conference where they connive and scheme about how they're gonna, control the rest.
Eliminate humans. Yeah. But I think what gets me with the whole data center thing, it's exactly the same argument that's used for nuclear power. Right?
Yeah.
So every 5 or 10 years, someone will get up, whether it's Australia or anyone else, go, look, we're not doing enough nuclear. Nuclear is so cheap. Well, it's only cheap if you don't maintain the facilities, which cost a fortune.
Right.
If you don't remediate the areas you have destroyed with leaks from the same thing, and you don't upgrade to where things should be so they don't leak. Right? It's like that. So it's like that with the data centers. It's the cost becomes public and the profit's always private.
Right.
We've got to cut this nexus.
Right.
In other words, I mean, I would like them not to be built, but in other words, if you're prepared to pay for the solar and the wind and the other things that give people free power or very cheap power, then we'll have a conversation about your data centers.
Right.
Throw it back to them, and then they realize, oh, it's not actually that cheap. It's only if I don't pay my bills it's cheap.
Right. Well, which brings me to, and I mean, a little early in the evening to get to my thing that I wanted to, my little quote that I had. But that's okay. We'll look at the comments and see what else. But we are coming up on the 4th of July.
Huh?
Washington looks like I don't even know.
Junkyard.
Oh, I heard that I'm so relieved that we have entertainment now for the Kash Patel's girlfriend is going to be entertainment. But anyway.
Oh my God. So is the clause still up? Is it staying up for
I don't know. You guys know, is the clause still up? Is that remember that the pilots complained about it, that it was blinding them.
Yes, blinding them and going in. But
I don't know if it's still
up.
I
also heard about that. From my viewers, I've heard they're starting to see a lot of 4th of July paraphernalia, merch out. They're not seeing much 250th. Interesting observation. Let us know in these comments too, please. So the 4th of July just rolls around every year and everyone, goes crazy for 36 hours. But this is another dimension again. So I think people are struggling to embrace the 250th.
You can imagine why. You know what? Okay, so let me just say my little quote and then we can go on and talk about other things. So I've been thinking about the 4th of July, and I'll have something that I'll bring up next week because that'll be our last show before the 4th. But I did want to bring up Francis Scott Key because this only occurred to me the other day. After almost 70 years of knowing the song and the story behind it and all that. So we know, obviously, there was the fight for independence between the U.S. and England. And it was a fight, meaning it was bombs and muskets and whatever. And so he wrote this song, which every American knows from childhood, called the Star-Spangled Banner. So it goes, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Okay, you all know that part. But then it gets to the last line. And the last line, as it turns out, all these years I thought it was sort of like a declaration or an announcement or an excited utterance or something. But it's not. It's a question. And the question at the end says, oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Now, again, what he was saying was, okay, we've had this bloody, awful night. Is the flag still there? That's literally what he was saying.
It's up to you to do it. Right. Be that identity.
What I do is, when I think of the line, I try to emphasize the second half. Like, it's not just about, is the flag still up? Because the flag is still up, just saying. The felon won't get his flag blue pool, but whatever. But the flag is still up. That's not the question. The question is, what is it flying over? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Where's it waving? Or the land of the free and the home of the brave? Because that's the question that we should be posing ourselves.
And should be asking at the 250 year mark.
Not is the flag waving, but what is it waving over? Is it waving over a country that says people should make $2 and something cents an hour and have to be tipped in order to eat? That people can't, that's the other thing. Medicaid. People who are on Medicaid will now have to work, how much is it? I think it's 80 hours a month in order to continue to receive benefits. Now, why do you get Medicaid? because you're disabled and you're poor.
Exactly.
So what?
We had this under a conservative government a few years ago. There's something, working for the dole, working for disability, working for this, working for that. Well, of course, people who are on such measly pensions can't afford the transport to get to 17 interviews on the off chance they could get one of them, and they might get enough hours to check off their box or not. Because of all this, and so the failure of the system. So it played out over a year or so and then fell over because you can't enforce it. Well, you can enforce it, but it's not humane to do this.
But of course, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, in fact, it's the point in the sense that its inhumaneness is the point.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we're talking about 20 hours a week.
Yeah, which is not insignificant.
No, especially if you are indisposed, if you are unwell, if you can't, if you.
And then it's wedging people into a corner. Oh, you can do 20 hours a week, so therefore you don't need the benefit.
That's right.
That's where they're going with it.
That's where they're going with it, right? So I think we want to take Francis Scott Key's words to heart. Yeah, flag's waving. People will be waving that flag. But what is it waving over? What is it? Have we made this?
That's the big question. 3 weeks from now, or 2 weeks or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. Because you'd have to say, no matter what side of the fence or the canyon you're on, the country is the most disunited it's been in living memory.
But you know what, though? Pluto and Aquarius. I guess in order to make a more perfect union, something has to cease to be in order for something to be created. And we came here. I mean, I didn't sign up for it, but I guess we all did on a soul level for this great dismantling. And it's not fun. It's not pleasant. It's unfortunate, but it's necessary that we really look hard at who we are and who we've become and who we've told the world we are and who we've told ourselves we are.
And I think let the statistics speak too, in the sense America's life expectancy is 49th in the world.
Right. Why is it not first? If we're the best country in the world.
Well, it's not as though it's second or third.
Right.
That's because people can't afford to access a system that would prevent this condition becoming complicated and becoming a fatality, right? Like you can join the dots of why the figures. You've got teachers having to buy their own classroom.
I had to buy classroom supplies for my class.
And this is across states and across schools. And so I think so. The problem is, and we've returned to this issue, Americans are very uncomfortable with criticisms of the country. And so until you can criticize and then you can't improve it. If you can't say that is shocking and this statistic is also shocking, got to admit it like AA or anything else to get to the next step.
Absolutely. It's hard. Well, I will say this. I mean, remember, we're in the Venn diagram, right? So if we get to the portion of the show, which is too much for you, it was great having you here, but I get it. So, with that caveat, I wrote a Substack piece because I had been noticing on Instagram, there were lots of white content creators who were coming on and explaining to their viewers, whoever they are, what Black people are all about and what our thinking process is. So they would say things like, you know how they're not out in the streets and they're minding their business and they're drinking their water and all of that. Well, they seem to have this preternatural ability to sort of get the memo. But I know why they're doing it. And I've seen more than one creator say this. It's because they're waiting for the right time. And then they're going to come out like gangbusters and take over the movement and be with us in the struggle. And I'm saying to myself, what? So I'm looking at the comments section of these white creators, more than one, male and female. And so what happens in the comments section is people say, excuse me, who are you again? I mean, is this a job that you have to explain Black people to white people? What are you doing? And then the creator will, a couple of videos later, come on and say, mea culpa, sorry, I'm so sorry. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I didn't know, I didn't get it, I didn't realize what I was doing. And then you'll have Black people in the comments saying, it's okay, you meant well, we all make mistakes. So I did a Substack piece yesterday, and I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? First of all, yeah, there is some sort of spidey sense that as non-monolithic as Black people are, right? We are as non-monolithic as any other group. We do have, we must be the drum beats from epigenetics that tell us step up or step back, drink your water, mind your, whatever it is. And, but we're doing it because this is what we're doing, but it doesn't mean that you should hold your breath because we're going to be the ones that race to the fore. How many times have we done that? And how much good has that done? Maybe you all need to race to the fore. Maybe we've set you the example a long time ago, and now we're letting you take a turn. How about that?
Well, also looping back to Albania and the failed Ivanka Kushner project too. People have got out, and then the numbers have grown, and they've kept going.
Right. And if I'm telling you, if it was just us out there, people would be sitting back watching. They would be drinking their water, watching us get beaten up and arrested and everything else.
So now it's like the young people and the grandmas and the academics and the blue collar workers and the thing. You just need. And
it's perfect. So I said, I think what needs to happen is that instead of white people going on Instagram and explaining Black people to white people need to go on Instagram and explain white people to themselves. And it's what you're saying.
My point. This is the role, as I see it.
Well, it's what you said about America.
The family members or the work colleagues or the dinner party guests or whatever.
Whatever it is. But it's like America itself. We don't like to be criticized, and we definitely don't like holding up a mirror to ourselves, right? So on a more micro level is the race piece of it. But it's all of a piece, and it's very American. I'm going to say very white American, because we've all been sort of taught to watch the watch. And in the face of all of the inequity that we see in our country, at the same time, we're the best country in the world. We're the this, we're the that, we're the other. No, we're not.
No. And the highest incarceration rate and bad stats are all bad. The literacy rates are falling through the floor when you nationalize it.
Black mortality rates of women, female.
Maternal mortality rate highest in the first world because of Black and Hispanic women not getting the proper care.
Right. So until we're willing to really ask ourselves, what is that flag waving over? Oh, say that starts. What is it waving over? It's waving for sure, but what is it waving over? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves, I think.
I know. And I've just moved for a moment to remember one of RuPaul's songs, which I think should be an anthem. And basically the catch line is, I'm American just like you.
Right.
Coming from a 6'5" Black drag queen.
That's right.
Stating the ground.
That's right.
I'm American just like you. And I think that needs to be aired and pumped up too.
But I will
Because sorry, just to finish that very obvious thought, MAGA land, Republican land, a lot of things that they say America, and to this day, they are only talking about white Americans. That is who they are talking about. It's who they're referencing. It's who they're appealing to. It's how they understand their world. So it hasn't even got to the first base.
Well, because they don't, I mean, they haven't even examined what being white means. Like, what is that identity? What does that mean? Who are you? It's not, you can't just be the backdrop. And because you're only the backdrop, you feel like you don't have an identity. And if you don't have an identity, then you are ripe for the picking for anyone who will tell you what you are.
And arguably jealous of those who do have an identity.
Absolutely. Exactly. Well, that's why these creators come on Instagram to talk about us. Why? I mean, we know who we are. Talk about yourselves. You know, what is your identity? What do you stand for? What you know, what are your mores and values, and how did they get to be that?
And go and have a DNA test and then have a think about what those results mean.
Exactly. Exactly. We have, you know what, as scary as these times are, I don't know, we have such a great opportunity to remake ourselves.
I think so. The reinvention, the remaking, that's so important. And I'm going to make a little pledge now publicly, I think, after July 4th, to try and put energy into the positive reinvention, backing those who have the courage to stand up to their own party, if that's the case.
Absolutely.
To be there for the constituents. And I think you have to practice, because we've all been so beaten down by this, even in the rest of the world. It's really hard because it's an abusive relationship, it's really hard to see that you can get out, you can actually have another life.
Right.
And be an inspiration for others and have a more just country.
That's
and
right.
I think it can happen too because the billionaire tech bros aren't getting it their own way either.
No.
That's another topic for next week. I should write
Yes,
that down.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
the
listen,
tech bros in this time of change.
I think it's exciting. I think we have 131 days until the midterms. So as you say, after the 4th, let us start, lifting up examples of people who are helping us create that more perfect union, and look at ways.
And we still have a responsibility to smack the legs of people behaving badly,
right?
But not letting them take all the oxygen in the room.
Absolutely.
Instead, they are dragging what should be a luminous, inspiring mega project. Talk about Project 2025, the real thing. There can be an alternative way of thinking. And I think it's coming.
I think it's coming too. I'm getting excited. But as you say, let's get through this 4th and this 250th anniversary, which I can't.
I think the shallowness and shabbiness of it is going to be yet another wake-up call for people.
Hopefully, yes. Yes.
Because you can have the relatives round for, the pot roast or whatever you want to do. However, it's very shallow. Everyone senses.
Yeah.
It's not about cohesion and magnificence moving forward to the next 250. It really isn't.
Right. Right. Well,
it's exciting.
Hopefully we move from that to whatever we can create next. It is exciting. Somebody said poo-poo platter. Well, whatever you're doing on the 4th. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so
much for joining us.
Enjoyed the comments. Really appreciate you being here and supporting us and the channel. And you can find Lena on her channel, Lena Down Under, me here. This video will be on each of our channels. So either one is fine if you want to go rewatch or if you want to refer people to watch it. And we will be back next week.
Next week. So we'll see you all then.
Take care, everybody.
Ciao.